So I want to make a quick short video on what do business brokers charge. I know it's a very top of mind question for a lot of business owners when they're getting ready to sell. So I'm going to cover it here in this video. Unfortunately, I can't give you just a one number percentage that all business brokers charge because every business broker does charge something different. They structure their fees and their commissions differently. It is not like real estate where there's a flat fee percentage because there's more that goes into this than selling a house. There's a much deeper financial analysis, operation analysis, employee analysis. So there's a lot more that goes into it. That's why you see the timelines of selling a business are much longer than selling or buying a house. The process of selling a business can be anywhere from 5 months up to 12 months. I've seen deals take well over 12 months. So it just depends on the size and the complexity of your business, but there's a lot more that goes into this process than selling a house. So let's start with the fees. The upfront retainer fee, right? I would say that the majority of business brokers are going to charge an upfront retainer. Not all of them do that actually, but 90% of business brokers are going to charge you some sort of upfront fee to retain their services. And there's a variety of reasons for that. It does cover some services up front, but it also shows that you're serious about selling your business and you're not sending out all these different brokerage firms to go find a buyer for you, and maybe you're just looking to see if there's interest there. So it's a way of showing that both parties are putting skin in the game to achieve the objective of selling the business. Now, what goes into those upfront fees, that retainer fee, are valuation services, essentially getting an appraisal on your business, setting the price on your business. And there's a lot that goes into that. Like I was saying, there's a financial analysis, operational analysis, who are the key employees. So there's a lot of legwork that goes into getting the asking price on your business, getting an accurate asking price on your business, I should say. And then also the marketing packet, which is called the CIM, C-I-M, Confidential Information Memorandum. This is a fairly long packet that highlights everything in your business, so everyone who is under an NDA gets to look at this packet. It really acts as a great buffer between you and all these buyers that are looking at your business, because at times it can get up to 20, 30, 40, 100 different buyers looking at your business, asking 101 different questions, and so we can send them this packet that answers a lot of those questions, and it keeps you from having to be on the emails and phone calls constantly answering the same question over and over. And those upfront retainer fees, again, I'm going to give you a range. It can be anywhere from, I've seen as low as $3,500 all the way up to $50,000. And I know that's a wide range and it doesn't help you, but I will say expect somewhere around $10,000. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. That's more of a tighter range to give you. The reason why I give you that big one is because I do know some brokerages that charge $3,500 and I do know brokerages that charge $50,000. Now, what you get with the $50,000 one is you might get some exit planning help, right? So maybe if you retain them, you get 6 to 12 months of exit planning or preparation before you go to market. I know a lot of business owners don't have the need for that. Their business is already set up fairly well to go to market immediately, and so those services aren't needed. So I would plan and expect anywhere from, I should say right around $10,000, could be a little bit more, 15, 20, could be a little bit less, 7,500, $5,000. So plan for around $10,000 upfront retainer for either 6-month retainer or a 12-month retainer. You're most likely going to always see a 12-month exclusive retainer to sell your business. And then after that upfront retainer, it is all performance-based until the business is sold. So that's when the commission comes into play. And I will say that upfront retainer, I know a lot of brokerages actually credit that back off of the commission once the business is sold. So again, it's both parties having skin in the game in order to get the business sold for the asking price that you are wanting on the business. Now, what does the commission look like? This is also going to be a range, but for the most part, it's tied to the size of the business. And the reason why is because sometimes the larger businesses can be more complex. There's more employees, there's more moving parts, there's more financials and different line items. So there's more to look at here. And so if you're selling your business, most business brokers are going to break down their commission in terms of what the sale price is. So if you're selling for under $1 million, you will most likely expect anywhere from an 8% commission up to a 12% commission. That middle ground being 10% is a fairly common commission price for $1 million businesses and less. Now, if you're $1 million to $5 million sale price, you can expect anywhere from 6% to also 10%. Again, it just depends on where you fall between that $1 and $5 million, how complex your business is, what are all the moving parts inside your business. Right around $5 million, I would say up to $10 million is where you'll see 4% to 6%. Again, this is just a range. Those are the typical commission prices for that exit price on the business. And then once you start getting up into the 20, 30, 40, $50 million exit prices, where you'll see anywhere from 1%, maybe up to that 4%, right? So everything is a range and a sliding scale. It just depends on what the valuation of the business is, right? So if you know the price of your business or where you might fall in terms of going to market, just plug that price into that range, and that's the typical commission range that you could expect when you sell your business. And again, a lot of brokerages will credit that upfront retainer that you paid 6 months ago, 10 months ago, off of the commission at the day of close when you get wired your funds. So I hope this answers some questions. I know this just isn't an industry where I can give you one flat number. Every business broker, every investment banker, every firm operates differently, but for the most part, they're all going to fall within that range depending on the size of your business. So again, if you have any questions on the fees and the pricing that you can expect to pay when it's time to sell your business, just let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them, but appreciate you watching. I hope this one helped.